Hello everybody and welcome to Marvin Gardens, September 2016. It is a delightful September-like day. The leaves are threatening to change color. It's a little cool, that's why I've got on a jacket. And but other than that, it's just pretty much delightful out here. And as Jessie would attest to, right Jessie? Pretty nice. It is nice, isn't it? And we'll step over here and start where we often start, and that's with chives. And they are, as expected, doing just fine. Little weeds around here and there, but other than that, they're doing good. Our water feature is gurgling as it should, and the plants have just done very well. We had a frog in here sitting on this rock right here as recently as just last weekend. I haven't seen him in the last couple of days though. Other than that, the tomatoes here in no man's land are starting to scale back a little bit. The Swiss chard, as you can see, is still going gangbusters. In fact, the biggest challenge has just been figuring out what to do with them. I can't quite seem to keep ahead of them. We've got an eggplant here that hasn't got much left on it, and same with a couple of brassicas in there. Beans have been, the pole beans I should say, have been doing pretty well all summer long. That's a fine, I think that's a Vortex green bean, and the red noodles have been particularly productive this year. We've got several bags of them in the refrigerator and ready to go. The sweet potatoes here are looking a little bit like they're past their prime. And unfortunately, Frankie's been in there. He thinks he's found rodents, so when he does that, he tends to dig up the vines a little bit. So I'm still hoping we might have some sweet potatoes in there, but we will harvest them fairly shortly. Meanwhile, over here in bed number 2, we've got Brussels sprouts, and we've had a steady supply of Brussels sprouts all season long. In fact, you can see a few up under there, the small ones that aren't quite ready yet. And of course, they go up to and through not only the first frost, but snows. So they're kind of amazing. In there, nestled in there, I don't know if you can see it very well, is one small broccoli head. We have been getting side shoots all summer long, but they're being less and less productive. And these guys are actually cabbages. The main head we took off, but then there's these little side heads that feel pretty firm, so I think they're probably edible, if nothing else. And last time I think we talked about the great summer squash die-off. Interestingly enough, when almost all of them died off, this little scallop summer squash plant here sort of sprung to life and came into its own, and we've actually been getting scallop summer squash from that guy. But he's kind of on his last legs, and of course the first frost will take care of him completely. This is where peas and beets and a few other things used to be. Not much here anymore, but I will say there's a couple of little pea plants that came up on their own. And there's 2 or 3 pods right there, and this little guy right here also has one. I don't know if you can see it right here, this guy. That's it. Looks like a Chinese pea pod. So that was pretty nice. And this volunteer marigold just came up a little bit late, but he's getting ready to bloom, and as long as we don't get a really killing frost, we'll see some blooms out of that guy. Meanwhile, these, which were from seeds that were from 2 years ago, I think, I planted, and They've been flowering nicely. They got knocked over a little bit in the high winds that we got as a result of Hurricane Matthew. Meanwhile, over here in bed number 3, everything's done for. It's interesting though, there was one onion that appears to got left behind that's growing a little bit, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that that happens to be a lettuce plant, so we'll let that go. And as usual, there's always at least one potato that gets left behind, and it has indeed sprouted as it's prone to do. So Franklin is interested in everything in the garden, especially the things that smell like nasty varmints and rodents, right, boy? Yeah, you go get them. Take care of those. I left this one leek in the ground. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't look too bad now. I might go ahead and harvest it. And then beyond that are the eggplants, which don't have many eggplants on the plants, if you know what I mean. But they are still actually blooming, and we may get a small one or two before everything's over, but it's a little doubtful. And then all the peppers, which have been doing well all season, not like gangbusters, but they've been doing fine. We've been getting a steady crop of peppers all season, and you can see some of these little guys down here turning red, so that's kind of nice. So beyond the peppers, we have, of course, tomatoes and Jesse. How you doing, Jesse? How is everything? And the tomatoes, similar to the peppers, not overwhelming this year, but steady and very productive. We get a good harvest of tomatoes practically every week, and can't complain about them all at all. Now this is interesting. This appears to be a walnut sitting on top of the tomato cages, which could only mean one thing. Either one of two things. Someone was harvesting and found a walnut and then set it up here and forgot about it, or some squirrel came by and found a walnut and left it up here by mistake. Interesting. I don't think it fell from a tree and landed in that position. All right, enough of that trivia, if you can call it trivia. Got more marigolds blooming around here, which look pretty nice, and dachshunds sniffing under the tomatoes, as they are prone to do. Over here in bed number 5, this is loofah gourds, and they're doing kind of the same thing they did last year, which is they're very, very slow early in the summer, and then they start taking off, and then they start producing fruits. But it's already late September, and those little guys are, they're not going to get much bigger before the first frost, which will do in this group of vines, because it always does. And we only have, like, maybe this one here, I think, is the largest loofah gourd that we have. And but again, these were just planted as afterthought because we had extra seeds left over, so I'm not really complaining. Meanwhile, the pumpkins, as I expected, did nothing, and they've just been pulled out of here. The sunflowers, on the other hand, although they don't look very impressive right now, did fine, and we've mostly been feeding the birds with them. I don't know if you can see much of what's in there, because there isn't much in there, but there are a few seeds, and the birds have just been having a grand old time, which is fine with me. I wasn't growing them to keep the seeds myself. I was just kind of growing them for fun. And then we got lots of marigolds that I spread around from those seeds from 2 years ago that are doing quite nicely as well. Now we're not going to go out to the corn patch there. As you can see, everything is brown and done for. I'd say we got a couple hundred ears of popcorn. The Silver Queen corn was a little challenged this year, but we did get a few dozen good ears that were nice and very consumable. But we haven't cut down all the stalks yet, which I usually do for Halloween decor and the like. So I think that might be just about it for September. It's late September, very, very late September, if you know what I mean. And in fact, it's so late in September that if we can swing around here, which I don't know if I can, you might notice that certain people who have 4 legs also have their pumpkin scarfies on, because if the truth were really known, I'd have to say that yes, it's so late in September that it's really actually October. But things have been crazy around here, so that's my excuse. But it feels like September in the garden, and it kind of looks like the September garden looked. So we're not going to worry too much. And in fact, that's going to actually do it for the 2016 Marvin Gardens September edition. And so we're going to go back inside, and we are going to see you next time for October 2016 Marvin Gardens. So hope you're having a great fall, because we're officially in it now. And we got the holiday season staring us in the face, which I always consider gets kicked off with Halloween itself. Not too far away. But we'll talk about that more in the October garden video. From September 2016 Marvin Gardens. See y'all later. Bye. Have a good one.